Attack of the Clones is my favorite Star Wars movie. Okay, no, not that one, the other Attack of the Clones. So what if I told you there's a whole list of the main 9 Star Wars movies with their correct titles from the internet, which I will be analyzing today.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
Going from episode to episode, let's analyze which alternate titles work better, how the original titles hold up, and the hidden meanings behind each of them. Because if you were like me as a kid, then you always believed that Darth Maul was the Phantom Menace, Luke Skywalker was the Jedi who was returning, and he was also the last of the Jedi in the sequels as well.
Every word of what you just said was wrong.
But starting with episode 1, that being of course the Rise of Skywalker.
What did you say?
So yes, according to our magical dark web list, the proper name for episode 1 is The Rise of Skywalker. This is because in this film we discover Anakin Skywalker, who we follow from his childhood as a slave on Tatooine to his victory at the pod race and release to become a Jedi on Coruscant. I would rate this alternate title a 6 out of 10 because while it vaguely fits the film, it's such a basic low IQ title that I can't give it a much higher rating. And 2 interesting facts about the original episode 1 title that will change the way you see the movie is that the Phantom Menace refers to Darth Sidious or Palpatine rather than Maul, who orchestrates the creation of the Empire and the fall of the Jedi from the shadows. I would rate the actual title for this movie an 8 out of 10. It's pretty basic, but the word Phantom is unique enough, as is its reference to Palpatine, that I like it a good bit. And fact number 2 is that the original title considered for this film was episode 1, The Beginning. Next up is episode 2,
Now there are 2 of them,
which is Revenge of the Sith. Now some of you might be confused by the placement here, but allow me to explain. Since episode 2 revolves around the discovery of the clone army, which will one day betray and exterminate the Jedi Order, as well as Palpatine's supreme powers which allow him to eventually become the Emperor, this makes the name Revenge of the Sith fit here. I would rate this naming of the movie as 7 out of 10 because yes, it's cool, but since the enacting of said revenge doesn't actually occur in this movie, it would be pretty stupid to call it that. Also, the Attack of the Clones script was printed out under the name Jar Jar's Great Adventure for humor. Now that is the name I would give a 10 out of 10. And there was actually going to be a gag where Jar Jar was to speak normal dialect since he was now a senator. But in all seriousness, Attack of the Clones as a name for episode 2, I actually think is severely overhated. I'd argue it's as creatively interesting as The Empire Strikes Back. Then again, considering the clones are essentially non-existent in the movie, that bumps this name down from a 10 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10.
Why, hello?
We next have the real Attack of the Clones, where during Order 66, the clones, well, they attack.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, this works surprisingly well for this movie, so I'd give it an 8 out of 10, but at the same time, Revenge of the Sith is a title that better describes the magnitude of the events in episode 3, which I believe makes this a 9 out of 10 title like the one preceding it. Moving on to the sequel trilogy. See what I did there? I addressed the original trilogy by an alternate name, even though this video is about the individual movie names being wrong, not the trilogy names. So pretty much I'm just a complete idiot. But for episode 4, we have Return of the Jedi.
Victory!
Here, Obi-Wan gives Luke training to bring about the Return of the Jedi, which is a weak 4 out of 10 at best for a title, considering Luke isn't even a Jedi at any point in this movie. A New Hope is, in my opinion, a name that describes the movie well, but is so basic that I just don't like it that much. I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10, and in my opinion, a better name would maybe be something about the Death Star, like The Ultimate Weapon. Okay, nah, maybe making movie names is harder than I thought, but episode 5 is The Force Awakens. I found this one very clever as it refers to Luke training with Yoda to become a true Jedi, therefore making it The Force Awakening, which also therefore makes it a 9 out of 10 revised title. Not to mention Palpatine senses Luke as a new threat awakening from the Force. And you already know The Empire Strikes Back is a classic title that easily is getting that 10 out of 10 rating. For episode 6, we have The Last Jedi, which says that with Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Anakin becoming Force ghosts, this makes Luke the Last Jedi. In my opinion, the title of episode 6 should refer to Anakin Skywalker, as he is the one that Luke redeems here, so it being about Luke doesn't work as well. I'd give that one a 6 out of 10 because at least there is the relevance in the sense that the entire future Jedi Order relies on Luke not turning to the dark side, as he is the last of the Jedi. And the original name is an 8 out of 10, that being Return of the Jedi, because while it is fairly basic, I like how it is talking about Anakin as the Jedi who returns here, which makes it far more deep than many of the other titles. For my personal favorite, we have The Empire Strikes Back, that being episode 7.
The war is over. Lord Sidious promised us peace.
I love this because the First Order is literally the Star Wars equivalent of neo-Nazis, which, for those who don't know, are those from the post-World War II timeline who wish to revive the ideologies of the Nazis under that angry mustache guy. Not only does The Empire Strikes Back fit this greatly in its own sense, but the fact that this film focuses on Starkiller Base, which destroys the New Republic, makes it an even more fitting title. I'd give The Empire Strikes Back as the name for episode 7 a 9 out of 10, and I'd give the original title, The Force Awakens, for episode 7 a 3 out of 10, because I've always found it to be an extremely boring, vague, and honestly corporate name that I don't like. But real quick, here's the Christian advice of this video. If you want to get back to the main video, then you can skip to this time right here over the Chosen One's helmet. Today I actually have a verse that relates to something that one of my friends has been going through, so I kind of did this for them. And that is actually Matthew 18:17, which actually refers to if there's someone in your church that has a sort of disagreement or, sin against you. This is sort of the situation it is referring to here, where it says, if the member refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if the offender refuses to listen even to the church, let such a one be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. Basically what this is saying is if someone who you're having a disagreement with, who is being in a sense evil against the law towards you and doing a wrong towards you, that could be a friend, anyone, you have to, put them before reason. If they're not going to listen at all, then that is a sign that you really cannot respect what they are saying, because it's from the enemy at that point. And as for a more personal note, just some personal sort of fears, struggles I've had recently. I feel like one, I'm really struggling with just having very reckless behavior lately. I feel like now, usually it is reckless in a more constructive than destructive way, which is good, but sometimes maybe not doing the most healthy choices, if that makes sense. But it is for my overall success. But I do concern myself sometimes, And then also I was going to say, I feel like lately, low-key, bro, half the time the gym doesn't hit anymore. Sometimes it sucks because I just it feels like everyone's judging me when I'm in the gym. I don't know why. Half the time I love it, but sometimes I get that feeling. But I don't know. That's just me. Obviously, let me know in the comments if there's anything you've been going through. And getting back to the video, just a quick reminder that you can subscribe if you found this content enjoyable, as it does really help me out and keeps me, motivated to keep pumping out content, because you already know, ain't too many other people out there putting out this good Star Wars content, except maybe, I don't know, that Star Wars guy, Kenobi's Corner, just a Star Wars nerd. Okay, I had to shout out all my homies. But anyway, yeah, let's get back to the video. Next up is A New Hope for episode 8. This refers to Rey, who saves the Resistance at the end of the movie on Crate after Luke, who was their last hope, sacrifices himself. That makes this an 8 out of 10 title, actually 9 out of 10, because you have to watch the whole movie to understand what it means. In my opinion, the original title, The Last Jedi, while not as vague as The Force Awakens, is still not a particularly interesting name, and is extremely redundant when the name Return of the Jedi already exists 2 movies before, making it a 5 out of 10. But for the final installment in the franchise, we have The Phantom Menace for episode 9, which is genius considering Palpatine is a literal phantom of sorts, back from the dead, and he is also undeniably a menace, especially with that base boosted lightning. But that makes this a 10 out of 10 renaming, which is very clever. Now, the same cannot be said for the original name, The Rise of Skywalker, which is so bad, especially when referring to a character who doesn't even have Skywalker in their real name, that I have to end the video right here. Well, unless it's talking about Ben Solo, which actually kind of goes hard, but then again, he doesn't technically have Skywalker in his name either, so yeah, I'm out. But anyway, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this one, you might also like this video where I looked at how Return of the Jedi completely changed Star Wars. And if you don't click it, then let's just say there's going to be a bounty on your head. But yeah, see ya.